Hey traders, what's up? To watch this video here for Monday, September 20th, showing you the SPY kind of rolling over. Let me bring up a little small version that's got the actual 50-day on there, which is that orange line. This is the 60 EMA that I use for 5-minute charts on the bigger chart. So the SPY has done pretty well. I guess I could make this big. SPY's done pretty well at holding that 50-day area, right? And we're back down to it now. It's a little bit different from the last few times, because the last few times it went down to it pretty quickly. Here a gap down, and this one has kind of been chopping sideways right above it, which is less bullish for a bounce in my opinion. So we'll see, but it is worth noting that we're seeing a little bit of weakness in the SPY, which none of us are really used to. It hasn't happened in a long time, and it's still not at all weak when you look at all-time highs are just right here. But seeing a little underlying weakness. So just, keep that in mind. As a day trader, I don't care that much about the overall market because we try to just stick with the stocks that are in play and then take A-plus intraday setup. So speaking of which, a couple of highlights from the day on Friday. Kevin P. called, and this is a neat little setup, just called this, it hit 41. This FORG, it's only been trading 2 days. Hit 41 here, hit 41 here, right back up. His idea was through that 41, and look what happened. It ended up going out at the high of the day, right at 45.50. So a $4.50 move in our favor on probably about 50 cents risk. Just a neat little call. Let's go back to the daily here. And ATER, Jacob KL. This was already on the bounce play watch list. I talk about this all the time. I like afternoon breakouts, right? I'll switch to 15-minute candles. So here's where it hit over 19, 4 or 5 sessions ago? Then the very next day, put in its high right at the open. The next day, put in its high within the opening hour. The next day, put in its high at the open. And then finally, so right after 1, 2, 3 days lower without breaking its early high, I like the bounce plays to break their early high in the afternoon. And that's exactly what this one did. I actually called this over 10.15, but Jacob KL kind of gave an idea in chat through 10, sort of a whole number inflection point with the idea that the high of day isn't that far away. In either one. But looking at his call through 10, it broke 10, went pretty quickly to 10.42, flagged, and then ripped, right? So Jacob's idea went from 10 to 11.97, I guess, is where it topped out. Yeah, that looks right. So that was a neat little call. So there's a couple highlights from the chat room on Friday. What are we watching for Monday? I've got a pretty decent-sized list. CRVS, you always want to keep the stocks that have massive volume out of the blue and a pretty strong day. You want to keep those on watch for about a week. So we're going to see if it gives any kind of follow-through setup tomorrow. BODY I'm not in love with, but it hit, it's a relatively new issue and kind of ripped on Thursday. Actually had more volume on Friday, but really a strong close, all things considered, if you look at the 2-day run. Well, 2-day run's not the right way to put it, but the last 2 days, had the big bounce on Thursday. And the way I'm looking at it is Friday it held up pretty well. So I want to watch it for a 3rd-day play, all right, even though it closed below its open on Friday. OSUR, nice little breakout. It's been running for a couple days, so is it due for a pullback? Probably. It's extended, but nice volume there, and we're going to watch that for any kind of a setup for the next few days. BROS, only been trading for 3 days. Absolutely ripped the first 2 days, and then tried to rip again on Friday, but a nasty reversal. And so it sounds weird to say, but you could already argue it topped out at 54.39, so it's already over $10 off of its all-time highs. I know that sounds silly because it's only been trading for 3 days, but that's a pretty good reversal. Does it need to come in a couple more days, or will it fall for the next 10 days? We don't know, but it certainly made a big enough move on its opening few days that I am absolutely going to watch it, all right? ANY had the nice pop on Wednesday. Went from like 561 to 787. Now you get a couple days lower on declining volume. Right back into that area we call the buy zone between the 8 and the 20. So we're going to keep our eyes on that one. IRNT has been insane, but now you've got 2 red days in a row. Again, I kind of like to see it get down below the 8, but I am going to put it on bounce watch. It is kind of interesting. This was kind of the most recent high before it ripped again. And it's retesting that breakout area. So we are going to keep our eyes on IRNT for a potential turn back up. SGMA, just a really strong stock. Generally, you want to see a few days lower, but sometimes stocks are strong enough that one red day after a big run, and then they turn right back up. So that one goes on watch. ATER, I already mentioned Jacob KL's call. Well, on Friday. Well, it held up pretty well, right? It's held this area for the last few days, so it might be back up from here. You can see when I go to 5-minute candles, this thing moves when it moves, right? People start piling in it, so that's one as a day trader you want to keep on watch. Life, L-I-F-E, had the big rip, then the gap up, and somewhere in here they did an offering, and it's still holding up pretty damn well. And Friday's range was inside of Thursday's range, and it went out pretty close to Friday's high. I think that's an interesting one to keep on watch. It's a recent high flyer and holding up pretty well. CRXT, you had this crazy gap up here, so it makes me like it less because you certainly have some bag holders, but made a nice attempt at a bounce, a week and a half ago. That went to 1057, and then on Friday topped out at 964 before closing at 81. It had a nice move, though, on Friday intraday, so we're going to watch that one. SURF, S-U-R-F, nice little breakout. We're going to look for a follow-through day. OPTT, decent volume and a strong close. We're going to look for a follow-through day. And then lastly, OCGN, which is just tailing along sideways, but had a nice pop about 4 sessions ago, came back down, and is starting to curl back up. That's plenty to watch, and we'll find gappers in the pre-market to add to this list. And that's it for me. I'm done babbling. We'll see everybody in the chat room on Monday morning.